Why should be big?
Well, if you like switch spots, somebody else sit, and then kind of walks through. Okay, so here we go. We're going to get the employee and the SAP actual hours into the system. We're going to click reports once we've logged in. And we're going to open this hours report. Alright, and typically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be uploading for the previous day. We have to do it one day at a time, which is not necessarily convenient, but that's unfortunately what we have to do. So this morning what I did, I uploaded the hours first for the store, SAP level. You can view the report. Then what we'll do is go here and we will export it to Excel. So we'll get a file that looks like this. Enable editing. We'll maximize it here. Highlight and I'll apply filter. And then first thing I do is I look and see we have negative hours here, which is a problem with WorkPlace. But in the case of a negative, for now, I just zero it out until the manager fixes it. Which isn't perfect, but that's just what we do. So you can see, if you expand these, you can see a little bit better which hours you're pulling from here.
Mm-hmm.
So then, because of the way that we have to do this, we've got the store hours now. We're going to leave that right here. And go back to the reports. Same date. We run the employee as well. And we will also export the employee hours to Excel. And we'll open that one. So our first step with the employee hours, there's going to be managers, there's going to be part-time, there's going to be everybody in here. So the first thing we have to do is find the position salary. And we're going to take all of them out. Because managers can code as floor coach, and we don't want those hours rolling into the totals. So we're going to highlight all the salaried people hours, and we're going to delete them. So now all that's left are going to be the hourly employees. So then, in order to properly roll the hours into the store report, start at default store, with this header, go over to floor coach, highlight all of it, and we're going to create a pivot table. Okay, the only thing we need to do, use default store, and then we're going to have the sum of the floor coach hours. This other one go here. There we go. So now we'll come back to our store hours report. And we're going to insert a few columns. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to VLOOKUP from the floor coach hours. And some will be 0, and that's fine. Really, we're just interested in getting wherever they are in their salary or their non-salaried employees that we're pulling all these hours in from. Probably delete an extra one of these here. So now these are the floor coach hours, and we're going to sum the floor coach and the selling hours together. So now this represents all STL, floor coach, and then RSA and STL selling hours. That's what we have there. So we're going to copy and value paste. Insert another column or two. And we're going to come over here and we're going to text to column this. There's already data here, that's fine. Okay. We'll delete this. We don't need the facilities. Insert the date in this column here. And occasionally some of the delimiting will pull other things in here, or it won't go all the way down. So you have to make sure you go all the way to the bottom. And delete these two columns. And what you'll notice is that this is starting to look very much like your import format. So I'll create a new file. SAP, date, reg, OT. Come here to hours report. Grab this stuff here. Copy. And value paste. Here I will make sure to give this 2 decimals. And here I will reformat the date. English, UK, that style. And I will save it as
save it to go live check.
This one here.
416. Next.
Okay. So I'll save this as SAP hours 415 actual.
And that's the import.
And that's it.
That's for the SAP.
This is for SAP.
Now for the employees.
So now for employee, we can get rid of this one for the SAP now because we're done with that. The employee is actually a little bit easier. Come up here, split these 2 columns here. And because we already took out all the salaried people, we don't need to worry about whatever floor coach hours that we're going to be pulling in. So we can just sum these 2 columns. Give it a couple decimals, and we'll value paste. We'll look for any negatives, because the system won't like those. I tried to import some with some negative hours before, that didn't work so well. Okay. Then we will put in the date. Delete these. Create another new one. And again, we've pretty much set up our import format. ID, date, reg, OT. Let's take all of these. Value paste. Two decimal places. And a reformat of the date column. There it is. Then we'll save this one as, this is employee hours 415 actual. I drop them both in, and that's that.
So this is for 1 day.
That's for
what
1 day.
if the manager is requiring means corrections on previous days or last week's hours?
I did a reload when they locked down the pay period from it was March 30th through April 12th. So I redid the hours for April from the 1st through the 12th, and those looked. We got revenue per hour figures that were somewhat normal. That looked a little bit more authentic. So Usually what I'll do is I will just go, I'll wait until there's like a week maybe, or like 2 weeks at a time. Usually I try to do it every week. It's usually better to just wait till they lock down payroll, because then we know that they can't edit them and that they should be mostly right. And then I'll go back and I'll put them all in one file. So I'll just do what I did and repeat it and just paste the next day onto the end using that same process. And then I'll roll back all the day at a time jobs and just upload one file that has all the dates that we just corrected for. Weekend.
You will roll back all the day jobs.
Right. All the single one-offs, I'll roll those back, and then I'll just upload one file that might have 7 days or 10 days or whatever the adjustment range is.
Okay.
So, and that's pretty much it.
So next,
and then just so like you can see, like, because if you're going to do this on Monday, then you're going to be having to load in multiple days.
3 days.
Right. So what you can do with that is, unfortunately, like I said, you're going to have to do, like, if you wanted to get another day, you just have to literally enter it here. It doesn't give you, I mean, you can run it for a long range, but the only way that we have to make sure we're tracking it a day at a time is to do it that way. And go to store and employee levels. And you just make sure you view the report, it'll refresh it, and then you can just export it. And that's pretty much it. And then you just put it in the system and it's good to go.
So this is store hours.
Store and employee hours. And this is what will power the rev per hour calculation, everything else.
The store hours, why do we need to look, do a pivot table from employees, flow coach, get them into store level?
Gotcha. The reason that we do that is because we have seen a number of STLs who will code their hours exclusively to floor coach when realistically they're selling for maybe half that time, or maybe they're selling for 3/4 of that time. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to inflate their revenue per hour because they didn't think we were looking in that bucket of hours. So we had to start taking all of the floor coach hours, but then it's not fair to the managers who aren't really selling. They're salaried employees. That shouldn't count against them.
Instead of extracting the report from store, when you extract the report for employees,
right,
you did a pivot table,
right,
to get those numbers,
right,
you are getting both the floor coach numbers as well as selling hours, right?
Right, we're only taking the floor coach numbers from non-salaried employees because the managers can code themselves as floor coach too, and we don't want to hit them for their hours as floor coach. Only the STLs, only the, because again, like the STLs, instead of coding themselves as selling, what they were doing is they were putting all their hours in, they might put like 1 hour in selling, right? Then they'll put the other 7 in floor coach. Maybe they made $2,000 that day. If we're not taking the floor coach hours, then they're going to have a $2,000 revenue per hour.
Okay.
So, but in order to be fair,
that
right?
process we are following only to ensure STL hours are accounted.
Right, whether they're coded as selling or floor coach, we're still going to account for the STL hours.
Okay.
And in doing that, we've now, by using the floor coach hours from the employee report and pairing them back to the store report, that lets us filter out the manager floor coach.
Whether it is a floor coach hours or selling hours, you are accounting them to regular hours. What about the overtime hours?
Overtime hours, there's no calculation for that at the moment. WorkPlace doesn't have one. And right now, my understanding is that they're not really, I guess we're not measuring labor percent to budget as a metric now. So for now, I guess don't worry so much about that because I haven't received any instruction what else to do with that.
Okay.
So. But yeah, that's overall it. It's really just we do the pivot table from the employees to filter out the RSMs that are coding that way, and then we just VLOOK and put them back in instead of using the. Let me pull this up again so you can see it. Oh shit. There it is. Did it save your old password over there? awesome.
They just got a taxes, right?
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. So again, the reason that we're going to do that, so that you can kind of see how it looks, why we have to filter that stuff out, is because, oh shit, well, let me put a date in here first. 15. And if we just were to look at the employee level, what you'll start to see so if we look at salaried managers, see there could be 11.75 hours of floor coach there, 11.5 hours of floor coach there. We don't want to hit them for those. So that's why by deleting all the salaried people and then again creating the pivot now with only hourly people in there, the only floor coach hours that are going to exist for this store are going to be from those that we want to take in. So again, that's why we'll insert the pivot. So now this Revois Bluffs, this 12 hours of floor coach is only going to be from like an STL or somebody that's it's supposed to be credited to, as opposed to if there was any manager floor coach hours, those aren't in there. That's how we get around it. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Cool.
One moment.
Sure.